Zinedine's time at Real Madrid is the stuff of legends, iconic goals, mind-blowing skills. But was it all sunshine and perfection? We're about to get into what made him incredible, and some things fans might not like to admit. And don't go anywhere, because there's a surprising twist at the end that'll make you see him differently. If you're new here and love football insights, hit subscribe and join the squad. Where do you even start with Zinedine Zidane? From those two well-taken goals against Brazil in the '98 to the infamous headbutt at the 2006 World Cup final, Zizou always made headlines on the biggest stages, both for the right and wrong reasons. And honestly, that's what makes him so fascinating. His career wasn't just about playing well, it was about creating moments that everyone would remember. Moments that defined an era. Real Madrid knew exactly what they were getting when they signed him in 2001, paying a massive €46.5 million, a record at the time, to make him the most expensive player. This wasn't just some big transfer, it was a statement. Zidane was already a global superstar by then, having won a Ballon d'Or in 1998 and being named FIFA World Player of the Year twice, in '98 and 2000. Most of this recognition came from his heroics on the international stage, where he helped France win the World Cup in '98 and then the Euros in 2000. The truth is, when it came to players from that era, Zidane was in a league of his own. So when Zidane walked into Madrid, he wasn't just joining any team. He was stepping into the famous Galacticos, a star-studded lineup of the biggest names in football. Real Madrid was collecting world-class players, almost like a super team, and Zidane was the crown jewel of that project. Zidane kicked off his Real Madrid journey in the Spanish Supercopa, facing Real Zaragoza. The first leg was tight, ending in a 1-1 draw, but Madrid pulled away with a 3-0 win at home, giving Zizou his first taste of silverware in just a couple of matches. Not a bad way to start, right? At the time, Real's manager Vincent Lebosque set them up in a 4-2-2-2 formation on paper, with Zidane positioned as a left-side attacking midfielder. But if you know Zizou, you knew he was never one just to stick to the script. He'd drift to the right, he'd drop deeper, and pretty much slide around wherever he was needed. It was like he could see things on the field before anyone else did, keeping his play simple, yet genius. But while Zidane was bossing the pitch, the team didn't quite dominate in La Liga that season. They ended up finishing third. But as always, Zizou had something special up his sleeve. Sure, Real Madrid would go on to chase La Decima years later, with the likes of Ramos, Di Maria and Cristiano Ronaldo. But before any of them, it was Zidane who gave Madrid their 9th European glory. During the 2001-02 season, Zidane scored 7 goals, and one of them became the stuff of legends. I'm sure you know where we're going with this. Yes, it's the 2002 Champions League final against Bayer Leverkusen. A cross comes in from Roberto Carlos, looping awkwardly into the air, but Zidane doesn't hesitate. He watches the ball, times it perfectly, and fires an insane left-foot volley straight into the top corner. Just like that, he scored what is still considered one of the greatest goals in Champions League history. Zinedine's first season was just a taste. By his second season in 2002-03, he was delivering like a seasoned pro. The bald one's second season was arguably his best at Real Madrid. He led them to a La Liga title, picked up the Spanish Supercopa, and even added the UEFA Super Cup and Intercontinental Cup to his list. In a single season, Zidane had practically completed club football. But after that, things started to get, well, complicated. Florentino Perez's Galacticos dream to fill the team with as many superstars as possible was a terrible decision, and that's just putting it mildly. Zidane was joined by legends like Ronaldo Nazario, David Beckham and Michael Owen, but the balance was off. Madrid's defence was almost an afterthought. Perez kept adding to the attack but neglected to build a solid backline. And it showed. Zidane's second act in his 6-year tenure proved that every superstar footballer needed structure and teamwork to thrive. Madrid was a star-studded but imbalanced team, and the cracks started to show. In the Champions League, Real Madrid were knocked out in the quarterfinals in 2004. And then, they couldn't even make it past the round of 16 in 2005 and 6. For a player like Zidane, who's always been at the top of his game on the biggest stages, this was a tough pill to swallow. Although Zidane still had a contract until 2007, he made a shocking decision. He announced he'd retire at the end of the 05-06 season. His explanation was honest and reflective. He said, "I don't want to start a third year knowing I won't be able to do better than I've done in the past. I don't want another year like this one, or even the one 2 years ago. It's been 2 years now that haven't been like I want." For a club like Real Madrid that almost never holds farewell games for its players, May 7th, 2006 was something special. Zinedine Zidane suited up in the famous white shirt one last time, and the Bernabeu was packed to the brim. Fans filled the stands with banners and signs honouring him. They weren't just watching a game, they were saying goodbye to a legend. In his last match against Villarreal, Zidane didn't disappoint. The crowd watched as he scored twice in a thrilling 3-3 draw. And when he left the pitch, it was with tears in his eyes. It was the end of an era. Zidane's legacy is one of those rare ones that seems to grow even stronger over time. Sure, if you're measuring greatness by modern standards, Champions League trophies, data-driven stats and goal counts, Zidane's numbers might not jump off the page. He scored 49 goals in 227 matches for Madrid, which is impressive but not on par with today's goal-scoring superstars. But Zidane's greatness wasn't about stats. It was about moments. The way he dominated the World Cups, Euros, and knockout games in a way few could. Back then, maybe only Ronaldo Nazario could match Zidane in global stardom. To watch Zidane was almost a spiritual experience. He moved with such elegance, such finesse, that he made even the most complex plays look effortless. And that's why, even now, millions of fans practically worship him. For Real Madrid, Zidane isn't just another former player. He's a legend whose career they respect deeply. And the reverence wasn't lost on Florentino Perez, Real Madrid's president. Years after Zidane retired, Perez went out of his way to bring Zizou back to the club. But this time not as a player, as a manager. When Zinedine Zidane was unexpectedly appointed as Real Madrid's manager in January 2016, the odds weren't exactly in his favour. He stepped in after Rafa Benitez was sacked, with no real managerial experience to speak of. His brief stint with Castilla, Madrid's B team, didn't inspire confidence. He hadn't even managed to get them promoted from the third tier of Spanish football. And though he'd spent some time as an assistant to Carlo Ancelotti, he was still very much an unknown quality in the dugout. Then came a shaky start. Losing 1-0 to Atletico Madrid in February 2016 didn't exactly look like a turning point, but something clicked. From that moment on, Zidane's Real Madrid team found their stride. And what followed was nothing short of historic. 3 Champions League titles in a row, in a competition where legendary managers like Ancelotti, Guardiola, Ferguson, Van Gaal and Mourinho have all chased glory. No one had ever pulled off 3 consecutive titles. So what makes a good coach? It's one of football's biggest mysteries. Zidane's approach was exactly the opposite of Benitez. Benitez's strict tactical style didn't gel well with the dressing room, but Zidane brought a breath of fresh air. He wasn't the type to micromanage or stress the players out. Instead, he projected calm and confidence. One former player said, "Zidane entered and brought a calm, common sense." Unlike Mourinho, whose intense style could be chaotic, Zidane had a quiet authority. He radiated composure, and that made the whole team feel at ease. And of course, Zidane had something you can't teach: respect. The Real Madrid squad was full of players who grew up idolizing Zidane. Some of them grew up watching the Champions League on TV, the closing montage and seeing his iconic volley from the 2002 Champions League final against Bayer Leverkusen. So it wasn't hard work for the Frenchman to get them to do his bidding. For Madrid, Zidane achieved 3 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga trophies, 2 UEFA Super Cups, and 2 FIFA Club World Cups. For most great players, transitioning to management can be a disaster. Many don't succeed. As for Zidane, he conquered the pitch, then turned around and conquered the sidelines too. He's already cemented himself in Real Madrid's history twice over, as both a player and a coach.